His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah received this morning at Bayan Palace in the presence of His Highness the Crown Prince Sheikh Nawaf Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah, His Highness Sheikh Jabir Al Mubarak Al Hamad Al Sabah, the Prime Minister, accompanied by His Excellency the Prime Minister of the Republic of Armenia, Havik Abrahamyan, and his accompanying delegation on the occasion of his official visit to the country. During the meeting, the Armenian Prime Minister conveyed a written message to His Highness the Emir from His Excellency the Armenian President Serge Sargsyan, tackling bilateral relations between both countries and means of enhancing relations in all fields, in addition to an invitation to His Highness the Emir to visit Armenia. The meeting was attended by the Deputy Minister of the Emiri Diwan Affairs Sheikh Ali Jarrah Al Sabah and head of the accompanying mission of honor, advisor at His Highness the Prime Minister's Diwan, Sheikh Dr. Salim Jabir Al Ahmed Al Sabah. His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah received this morning at Bayan Palace Minister of Justice and Minister of Awqaf and Islamic Affairs Yaqub Abdul Mohsen Al Sana, accompanied by Chairman of Public Anti-Corruption Authority Abdul Rahman Al Namash Al Namash. His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah sent a cable of congratulations to His Highness the President of the United Arab Emirates, Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan, on his country's recent win of the bid to host the 2019 Asian Cup. In his cable, His Highness the Emir said that choosing the UAE to host this event embodies its prestigious sports position at both Asian and world levels and reflects its huge potentials like developed infrastructure and modern sports facilities. His Highness the Emir stressed that this move is a source of pride for all the GCC member states and Arab countries, wishing His Highness Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed good health and his country further progress and prosperity. His Highness the Crown Prince Sheikh Nawaf Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah sent a cable of congratulations to His Highness the President of the UAE Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan on his country's recent win of the bid to host the 2019 Asian Cup. And His Highness Sheikh Jabir Al Mubarak Al Hamad Al Sabah, the Prime Minister, also sent a similar cable. His Highness the Crown Prince Sheikh Nawaf Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah received this morning at Bayan Palace His Highness Sheikh Jabir Al Mubarak Al Hamad Al Sabah, the Prime Minister. His Highness the Crown Prince also received the First Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Sheikh Sabah Al Khalid Al Hamad Al Sabah. His Highness the Crown Prince then received the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Defence Sheikh Khalid Al Jarrah Al Sabah. His Highness the Crown Prince Sheikh Nawaf Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah received this morning at Bayan Palace Minister of Justice and Minister of Awqaf and Islamic Affairs Yaqub Abdul Mohsen Al Sana, accompanied by Chairman of Public Anti-Corruption Authority Abdul Rahman Al Namash Al Namash. National Assembly Speaker Marzouk Ali Al Ghanem met today with His Excellency the Prime Minister of the Republic of Armenia, Havik Abrahamyan, and his accompanying delegation on the occasion of his official visit to the country. During the meeting, the two sides discussed bilateral cooperation prospects between both countries, as well as the latest regional and international developments. The meeting was attended by Chairman of the Financial and Economic Affairs Committee, MP Faisal Al Shaya. The National Assembly, at its regular session today, headed by His Excellency Speaker of the Parliament Marzouk Ali Al Ghanem, approved a number of reports forwarded by parliamentary committees and the government, essentially approving construction of new power and water plants. The Assembly endorsed a report by the Financial Affairs Committee amending the 5th article of the Law No. 29 of 2010. Here is more on the session in this report with Salim Al-Kendari.
Developing Kuwait's economy and turning the country into a financial center is the task of all sectors, said the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Trade and Industry, Dr. Abdul Muhsin Al-Mid'ij. Al-Mid'ij's statement was quoted by Assistant Under-Secretary of the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Fawaz Al-Shallal, at the opening of the conference on the future of Kuwait's financial market and developing the stock exchange under the theme Way to the Financial Center.
Kuwait Financial Center's Markaz participation today at this conference is a testament of its dedication and commitment into developing the capital markets and the investment sector in Kuwait. The participation in the conference is excellent, especially that we have Kuwait Capital Markets Authority and the Ministry of Commerce and Industries participating. We expect a lot to come out of this conference, especially when it comes to developing the investment sector and the capital markets in Kuwait.
Experts were quoted saying that Kuwait must take several steps in order to take the economy to the next level. Such steps include encouraging investment, building the trust of investors, increasing the capital, and encouraging creativity for investment companies. The financial market is a key element in determining the performance of the country's economy and stock exchange activities. From the Sheraton Hotel, this is Salim Kendiri reporting for the English News.
His Highness Sheikh Jabir Mbarak Al-Hamad Al-Subah, the Prime Minister, held a meeting today in noon at Bayan Palace with the visiting Armenian Premier Hovik Abrahamyan. During the meeting, they reviewed relations between the two friendly countries and ways of developing them in line with serving the interests of both people. They also discussed the key regional and international issues as well as their stances towards them. Following the meeting, the two sides signed an exclusive program for agricultural cooperation for 2015-2017. The deal was signed on the Kuwaiti side by the First Deputy Premier and Foreign Minister Sheikh Subah Al-Khalid Al-Hamad Al-Subah, and on the Armenian side by the Minister of Agriculture Sergio Karapetyan. Both sides also signed an exclusive program or an executive program for tourism cooperation for 2015-2017. The deal was signed on the Kuwaiti side by the Deputy Premier and Minister of Commerce and Industry, Dr. Abdel Mahsen Al-Mid'ij, and on the Armenian side by the Minister of Economy, Karen Krishmartikyan. His Highness the Prime Minister hosted a luncheon in honor of his Armenian counterpart and his accompanying delegation. His Excellency, the Prime Minister of the Republic of Armenia, Hovik Abrahamyan, and his accompanying delegation arrived in the country on a two-day official visit upon an invitation by His Highness Sheikh Jabir Mbarak Al-Hamad Al-Subah, the Prime Minister. The Armenian Premier was received at Kuwait International Airport by His Highness the Prime Minister in an official ceremony in which both the Armenian and Kuwaiti national anthems were played. The Armenian Premier was also greeted by the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Commerce and Industry, Dr. Abdel Mahsen Al-Mid'ij, head of the accompanying mission of honor and advisor at the Diwan of His Highness the Prime Minister Sheikh Dr. Salim Jabir Al-Hamad Al-Subah, a number of sheikhs, ministers, senior army, police and National Guard officers, along with senior state officials, high-ranking officials at the Diwan of His Highness the Prime Minister, as well as the acting Dean of the Diplomatic Corps and Somali Ambassador to the State of Kuwait, Abdel Qadir Amin Sheikh, and Kuwait's Ambassador to Armenia, Bassam Mohammed Al-Gabandi. The first Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister, Sheikh Sabah Al-Khalid Al-Hamad Al-Sabah, affirmed today that the foreign policy of the State of Kuwait is based on moderation and balance. Speaking at today's Parliament session, the first Deputy Premier and Foreign Minister expressed understanding of concerns expressed by some MPs in this respect, assuring the lawmakers that broad lines of the country's foreign policy are declared by His Highness the Emir Sheikh Sabah Al-Ahmed Al-Jaber Al-Sabah and His Highness Sheikh Jabir Al-Mubarak Al-Hamad Al-Sabah, the Prime Minister, in their addresses to the Parliament at the start of the new legislative term. The first Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister, Sheikh Sabah Al-Khalid Al-Hamad Al-Sabah, met today with the Deputy Parliament Speaker of the Kingdom of Morocco, Abdel Latif Wahbi, and his accompanying delegation. During the meeting, the two sides discussed means of boosting bilateral ties in all fields. Speaker of the National Assembly of the People's Democratic Republic of Laos, Pani Yathoto, and her accompanying delegation arrived in Kuwait on a few days' official visit to the country. Yathoto was received at the airport by head of the accompanying Mission of Honor MP Dr. Khalil Abdallah, Kuwait's ambassador to Laos, Nabil Al-Dakhil, Assistant Secretary General for MPs Affairs, Public Relations and Media, Sami Shaya, and senior officials of the General Secretariat. Hundreds of the so-called Islamic State fighters have launched an attack on Kurdish forces in northeastern Syria, triggering fierce fighting that has killed dozens on both sides. The Britain-based Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said today that the IS attacked Kurdish forces using tanks and heavy weapons around Ras Al Ain town near the Turkish border. Kurdish militias backed by US-led airstrikes had made significant gains in recent weeks against the IS in the region, cutting an important supply route from territory controlled by the militant groups in Iraq. Meanwhile, Iraqi security forces and allied militias seized large parts of Tikrit amid reports that most of the Islamic State militants battling to hold the city had begun retreating. Israeli and Hamas officials denied a report that the Palestinian movement had offered Israel a protracted truce in return for ending the blockade of the Gaza Strip. Our correspondent in Gaza, Majla Waheidi, has the details in the following report.
Israel's Walla News website revealed documents showing that senior Hamas officials met with Western diplomats and indicated interest in a ceasefire of at least 5 years in exchange for Israel's lifting the blockade. But senior Hamas officials denied this, saying they did not give any responses as this subject should be treated within the framework of national consensus.
Regarding what has been mentioned in the media, there is a truce for 5 years or ceasefire. I think this is just maybe an official things while the people been discussing. When you have a delegation coming or joint Syria or other coming to address issue with you, you are talking about we can keep the ceasefire if the Israeli will abide by the ceasefire. Maybe this is something being mentioned one day, but in general, I don't think the Israeli will fulfill their promises, and we have a bad experience with the Israeli. So they just leak it to the media to undermine Hamas as if they have mentioning something like this.
On the Israeli side, one government source said the Prime Minister's office is not familiar with the report, and a prerequisite to any long-term solution is the demilitarization of the coastal strip. During his last visit to Gaza, UN's Special Envoy Robert Siri raised a ceasefire proposal to Hamas. He also said in a media statement that a commitment from all concerned parties for a long-term ceasefire is essential to enable Gaza's full and accelerated recovery and reconstruction. This created high expectations on the possibility of such ceasefire.
It seems to me that Hamas is trying for an exit out of the siege and blockade and the closure of the border crossing between Gaza and the outside world, which makes many political commentators believe that there is some kind of truth to these reports that at the end of the day Hamas wants an end to the siege and blockade in return for a long-term ceasefire with the Israeli occupation.
In August last year, Israel signed a ceasefire deal with Palestinian factions following a devastating military conflict in the besieged enclave. However, no discussions were followed up between both sides to determine the nature of such ceasefire and negotiations. Whether a ceasefire happened or not, the current situation is full of real obstacles that would take a lot of time and sacrifice to be solved. Majloub Hadi, Kuwait TV, Gaza.
Moving to the local financial news, where the three main indices of Kuwait Stock Exchange were mixed by the end of today's trading session, as the price index dropped by 9 points and settled at the level of 6,520 points. The KSX 15 index, however, gained 4 points to reach 1,084 points. The share of the Gulf Glass Manufacturing Company was the top gainer of the day, while that of Yeco Medical Company suffered the biggest loss. And in our final item tonight, Kuwait International Automobile Club organized the first regional meeting of automobile clubs in the Middle East and North Africa. The three-day event's agenda focused on developing motorsports in Kuwait and the region in a meaningful way, as well as encouraging more youth to indulge in this field. Our correspondent Heba Abdurrahman was there, bringing us the following report.
The first regional meeting of automobile clubs in Middle East and North Africa, MENA, kicked off, organized by the Kuwait International Automobile Club, or KT, under the umbrella of the Fédération Internationale de l'Automobile, FIA, and under the patronage of the Minister of Information and Minister of State for Youth Affairs, Sheikh Salman Subah Al-Salim Lahmoud Al-Subah. The meeting stretches over 3 days with 18 countries represented.
Actually, today's meeting is an FIA organized meeting for the Middle East and North African region, with the pleasure of having Mr. John Todd, the FIA President, Vice President Mr. Nasser Khalifa Al-Atiyah, and most of the people in the organization. This is the first time that this meeting is held in Kuwait at this particular place and within the number of members that have attended. Inshallah, within the next 2 or 3 days, we'll have good positive ideas of how we can advance the motorsport within the region, especially in the Middle East and the Gulf area, with the help of all the people involved. And there is a very important point that is going to come up regarding the women's organization within the FIA, because it's been pushed for the past, let's say, 12 months really strongly, especially by MENA President, Vice President of FIA, Mr. Nasser Khalifa Al-Atiyah, and on our part we're going to be helping and doing as much as we can.
What's exciting from my point of view being here is we're rolling out a new development program. So this is the first time we're going to showcase this at this meeting. So during the next 2 days there's going to be training seminars going on, and during the rest of the year we're going to make sure that all our motorsport clubs are fully supported.
The meeting's primary agenda aims at developing motorsport in the region in a meaningful way, especially with regards to driver and road safety, as well as holding more activities in different disciplines such as rallies, hill climb racing, karting and cross-country rallies.
This is the MENA Congress. The MENA is the Middle East and North Africa clubs, automobile clubs meeting. Mainly it's about motorsport and road safety in the region. So what we are doing today is most of the club presidents or delegates are here to meet with the FIA President and with the FIA Vice President, Mr. Nasser. And together we have several meetings in the next 3 days discussing most of the regulations and how to improve the coordination between clubs and to have more championships and series in the MENA region in general.
Deputy Director of the Public Authority for Youth and Sport, Dr. Jassim Lahwedi, also said that he was happy that motorsport was being paid attention to by the government authorities, since this sport resonates highly with Kuwaiti youth and would be an apt outlet for their energy and creativity. Under the title Building the Future of Motorsport, the first FIA Sport Regional Congress Middle East and North Africa holds its meeting in Kuwait, which is being followed by a new program to be implemented. From Crown Plaza Hotel, I am Heba Abdurrahman reporting for English News. The first
For a chance to see our reports again, please visit our YouTube channel at MOI Kuwait News. Well, with that, we conclude our news bulletin. Thank you for joining us. Have a pleasant time. I'm Maham Tawa. Before we go, we remind you once again of our main top stories. Have a pleasant time and good night. His Highness the Emir receives His Excellency the Armenian Prime Minister on the occasion of his official visit to the country. His Highness the Prime Minister meets his Armenian counterpart and inks a number of deals on executive programs. The First Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister affirms that Kuwait's foreign policy is based on moderation and balance. And the military operations against the so-called Islamic State group continues in Syria and Iraq.